was very, very, very fast at the start. This was a group of people that really had never been together before that. There was a little bit of a seed at first that grew into a monster in about 3 days, you know.
About 20 years ago, the bog was purchased by Bord na Móna from the DUFF estate for the purpose of being used to manufacture peat moss at their factory at Cool na Móna near Portlaoise.
Surprisingly enough, Bord na Móna would be well liked in the area, because most kids and a lot of the older people during the summer, we all cut turf at some stage.
In the 1990s, drains were cut across the bog's surface. These drained the water off the bog, and the drying out process results in the death of peat, forming bog mosses.
In about 2000, local people became aware that Bord na Móna were about to commence pre-harvesting preparation on the bog and were about to move heavy machinery in. That caused alarm bells to ring because, for two reasons. Local people had become more conservation aware and were aware of the importance of this bog, as I say, both nationally and locally, especially given that Abbeyleix is a heritage town and this is right on close to the environs of the town. And secondly, there was concern, and we might as well admit it, that Bord na Móna were about to become involved in waste management, and perhaps when this bog was harvested it might be used for some form of waste management. So that caused local concern.
The balance was completely different to what it is now.
Yeah, there was a culture shift happening right then. We were right kind of in the middle of the boom.
A group of concerned residents established the Cinematographer Residents Association with a view of preserving the bog. By then, a valuable amenity to the town and a unique and delicate ecosystem.
There was a community that kept saying that it was all about employment in the factory in Cool na Móna, and there was a community that was saying that no, hold on a second.
This isn't right.
Yeah, this isn't right.
On the weekend of July 21st, 2000, things came to a dramatic crossroads.
Over the weekend we got word that Bord na Móna is moving machinery onto the bog, actually to start to dig the trenches again for draining. The word go around in the community.
They were basically overstepping the line.
It was literally, bang, this is happening, and everybody started to say, okay, it's not going to happen that way anyway. From Friday morning when Chris said, look, they've moved in the machines, I'd even gone to work and not even known they were there, so nobody was mobilised before Friday morning, Friday evening you could say.
On the Saturday, Gary and his brother stuck a crane in the laneway going in.
Under the guise that it was bird watchers looking at nesting birds.
Just to create any obstacle that we could think of, and that's all we had at our disposal, you know.
So with the result that they couldn't bring the second machine in. So they parked it on the side of the main Cork-Dublin road, and on Monday morning at about 8 o'clock, I don't know, I think we had about 50 or 60 people.
Nearly 100 people there.
There were about 100 people there by lunchtime, I would say. But about 50 or 60 people at 8 on a Monday morning. It was amazing. But the fact of it being beside the main Cork-Dublin road and they couldn't get the machine off it was fantastic publicity for us.
We then asked Board Namona that we want to negotiate with them and talk with them. And it was then organized for a delegation of the community to start talking to Board Namona. Even the attitude of government, local county councils, Board Namona itself was, for Pete's sake, it's peat. It's not worth a fight, but I think mood have changed. The European laws about protection of biodiversity, all those things started to kick in. And I think people started to sit up and look at what we have in Ireland.
I knew somebody who had a son who was an ecologist. I didn't realise how good he was.
It's Doug McMillan.
This is Doug McMillan, and he is an absolute wizard now, you know.
Between May and August of 2001, I say I would have done about 20 days on the bog. It was to counter an environmental impact assessment that was done on behalf of Board Namona for the bog. They concluded the site was of little conservation value, so I proved that it was essentially. So identified that all of the plants that you typically find in a raised bog were still present. We come up with a total of over 570 plant and animal species for just about 20% of the site surveyed. So I would anticipate that once we survey it further, there'd certainly be thousands of species there. So certainly it gave the lie to the claim that it was of no conservation value.
Following several years of negotiations with Board Namona, the bog was handed over into the care of AREA in 2009, in the form of a 50-year lease. In 2011, the Abbeyleix Bog Project CLG was incorporated, with the primary objective of conservation and a secondary objective of providing an amenity for research, education and recreation. The Abbeyleix Bog Project now manages and conserves the 500-acre community bog, an open access amenity consisting of various habitats: raised bog, degraded raised bog, cutaway bog, mineral fen, wet woodlands, mixed woodlands, and orchid-rich grasslands. The Abbeyleix Bog Working Group advises by the Technical Advisory Group to ensure that all plans for the bog do not impact the fundamental conservation objectives of the lease. The project would not have been possible without the help, support and collaboration from partners, volunteers and the local community. Working in tandem with Tidy Towns, Heritage House, Community Garden and various climate action groups. All are involved on a voluntary basis, regularly hosting tours, walks and talks on the bog, and sharing knowledge on history, ecology and restoration success. Their efforts are key to our future.
I think there's a new generation of people that understand what is going on.
I'm about 20 years trying to save the bog. It's now down to the younger people. I've done my bit. To see the children that have been out on the bog, that's where the future is. They were absolutely soaking it up like sponges.
Today, Abbeyleix Bog is a treasure, a byword for ground-up community ownership and partnership conservation. In 2020, Abbeyleix Bog was selected as a knowledge site, a prototype for best practice in community collaborative projects within the European Union's Horizon Waterlands project. What started over 20 years ago as a standoff between the community and state agencies has evolved into one of the greatest environmental success stories of the Midlands. A beacon of hope in the sometimes battered environment of the landscape and biodiversity.
I think that we're going to have to heed warnings from nature, and we're going to have to mind what we have and appreciate what we have.